Hello, I'm Jack Reeder with Future Pastimes, and I'm a designer on the Dune expansions for the classic Dune board game published by Gale Force 9. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a formidable alliance in the game that I call the Alliance of Treachery, and that is between the Harkonnens and the Ixians. And a lot of what makes this a powerful alliance has specifically to do with the treachery card and bidding advantages of the Ixian faction. Now, they have an advantage called bidding, and the way it works is at the start of the bidding phase, they're going to draw cards from the top of the treachery deck equal to the number of cards that will be up for auction that phase, plus one. So one more than will be sold. And they're going to look at those cards and they're going to pick one of them to be not part of the auction. They're going to suppress one of those cards. And that card they're either going to put at the bottom of the treachery deck or they're going to put it on the top of the treachery deck. And that is especially important in games with the Harkonnen in it, because whenever the Harkonnen buy a treachery card in the bidding phase, they get the top card of the deck for free. Now, when the Ixians and the Harkonnen are not allied, the Ixians can put worthless cards or cheap heroes or whatever they think the Harkonnens don't want on top of that deck to kind of keep them in check. Although when I'm playing the Harkonnen in a game with the Ixians, I sometimes will try to bribe them or make a deal to have them put good cards on there, especially saying, hey, look, a Nexus is coming, and I think we're going to make a pretty strong team. Why don't you put some good cards on there, and we'll start an unofficial alliance right now. And sometimes the Ixians will go for it. They're like, sure, sounds good. Let's go ahead and start planning now. Especially if the Ixians don't think that they can go for it on their own at that point. And if the Harkonnen are still in a relatively strong position, then why not? And if I'm the Ixians, I definitely will entertain that. So when they are in an alliance, the Ixians are able to really position the best card each round on top of that deck. But even more is that the Ixian alliance advantage is whenever you buy a treachery card, after you've seen what you bought, you can immediately discard it and just take the top card of the treachery deck. So the Ixians can set up the auction in one of a couple of ways. One is they can say, all right, we're looking at the cards, and they're mostly cards that most of the players are not going to want. There's just not a lot of good weapons or defenses, and maybe there's one. They take that one, they put it on top of the deck, and then they say, all right, we can buy a lousy card and probably not have to pay very much spice for it. And then you'll get to discard it and take that good card off the top of the deck and then another card off the top of the deck, and we'll take our chances. Or they can stack it where there are pretty good cards in the auction, but the best card is on top of the deck. So that way, when the Harkonnen do buy a card, they're going to get a good card, and then they're going to get a really good card as their extra card for free. So this makes their alliance really nasty and dangerous, especially when you keep in mind that at the start of the game, the Ixians will have taken the best card as the first card that each faction gets, and then they'll have some knowledge about what the other factions might have. They know what's out there, they just don't know who has what. But if you're in a game where you've got something like the Poison Blade or the Shield Snooper or Artillery Strike or even Lace Gun, if that shows up in the first 6 cards, the Ixian faction is most likely going to have that card. So they're going to have some strength, and they're going to be able to get the Harkonnens in a strong position as well. Now, the downside with this alliance here is that neither one of these factions is an economic faction. They don't have any kind of income. In Advanced, Harkonnen might have that 2 spice for occupying Carthage if they can maintain that. But they have the capabilities to go after spice, and they've got probably better than average chances of winning some fights. And that is because the Harkonnen might have more weapons and defenses early. They've got the extra traders, so if they get into fights with specific factions, they might do better there. They've got the Ornithopters because they're starting their movement with forces in Carthage most of the time, so they can get to some of these other spice blows. The Ixians, they're in the Hidden Mobile Stronghold, which is the hardest stronghold for other factions to get into. So depending on where the Ixians keep it, they might be able to avoid having to defend it for much of the game. And every once in a while, they will get lucky with moving that stronghold to claim spice that wasn't claimed by other factions. So not really an income, but every once in a while, the Ixians can pick up some extra spice and help themselves out that way. So of all of the factions in the game, the factions that are most likely to win on turn one are these two factions. So they're strong earlier in the game. The later the game goes, the longer the game goes, the harder they're going to have because they don't have the income. So that's the downside, and that's what they've got to try to work around, taking advantage of the Ixian cyborgs and the fact that if the Ixians get into a battle and their opponent reveals one of the Harkonnen traitors, the Harkonnen can call traitor on them. And if you're Harkonnen, if you're in a position where you've got some decent weapons and or defenses, you maybe want to go get into some fights, because that gives you a chance to capture some leaders. And having a faction minus some leaders because you've got them really makes you, puts you in a really strong position. So this is an alliance that if I'm one of these two factions and the other one is in the game, I definitely am looking to try to get into an alliance with this other one. So that's it for this Power Alliance video. Let me know what you think of this particular alliance and any other things that you've noticed or experienced while playing them or playing against them. And make your argument why you don't think this is a very good alliance. Should these guys get into an alliance with an economic power over the this one here? Make your case. I certainly would love to hear that. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.